need to talk about the financials for the show.
Okay.
Well, to give you an idea, the cost of your show border was about £3,000. We're making money on the YouTube channel, about £600.
Well, that's not bad. £6,000 is pretty... Right. So, well, we can probably claw that back at least if we're...
Well, if we add it all up, you haven't taken into account your travel expenses, how much you've spent on plants, and how long it takes you to edit the show, which at the moment comes to a total of £13,500.
What? How much? How have we spent so much? I don't understand. And we've only made 600 quid. We're halfway through the series and we've only made 600 quid.
So you're going to need to do something about that or make the show a little bit more engaging.
It is engaging, I hope.
Also, while we're at it, are we going to acknowledge the hundreds of show plants that you've just abandoned under the pergola?
There are some pros and cons of doing your own show garden and getting your own plants. The pros are, well, all of these plants are yours, which is fantastic. The cons are, you then have to think what to do with them. And I have about 100 plants here and I need to get them planted up and ready to go. Otherwise, they are going to struggle. In fact, some of these are already starting to struggle. So they need to be rehomed. And there's a heat wave this week. The only clear solution here was to start planting these up. Just had to get them off the deck first, which proved a challenge. Right. Ooh. Got an idea. Whoa. Now, if you remember in my garden design, there's a little bed here that has a tree in it and then some underplanting, which is great. But I've got those two big standard wisterias and I think they'll give me that little bit of privacy that I want with a nice bit of flower in the spring. So I'm going to clear this up and then make a bed right there. And that should do it. Right, out the way you come. Right, let's make this the same width as that. Get that cut. Amazing how much smoother it works when there's no wires. Ha ha. Right, one quick low raised border. I'm going to fill this up with compost and then we're going to put the plants in. Seemed a waste to get rid of all that compost for the border. I'll take home a souvenir. Free compost. You're probably wondering, why did I build a 4-inch raised bed? It doesn't really seem worth it. Couldn't I just put it straight in the ground? And to be honest, the soil under here is actually really good, so I could have. But because I'm going to be putting a bit of a raised deck all the way along here, I want the deck to sit over this as part of the framework. So by raising it, I don't have to worry about building the level up when I finally put the deck up. So it's just that little bit of preparation, which I'm so very obviously known for. Now, these show plants were taken from a garden centre on display in full sun for 5 or 6 days, and then it's been transported again. So as you can imagine, they're incredibly stressed. So what I like to do is really pre-soak all of the compost before we put it in. Reason being why is because if you put this straight into dry compost, it'll work like a sponge. It'll suck all the moisture away from the roots and stress the plant out even more. That's how you get something known as transplant shock. But by pre-soaking it, and I mean really soaking it, it's not going to happen. Well, you'll at least reduce it. Right, come along you. Not that. Right, and this one too. Right, that's the 2 wisterias. Now, as you can see, this one has, well, lost tons and tons of its leaves. In fact, they're all just kind of falling off, but don't worry, it will recover. There are loads of side shoots. So I'll plant it up, keep it well watered, a little bit of a feed after a week or so. It'll be fine. Now, here's a little tip for you. When you're digging a hole, if you remember earlier, I said really soak this. And as you can see, underneath is bone dry. And it just goes to show that you really do have to leave the hose there for a good while for the water to actually penetrate. So if you do have that problem and you haven't got it down deep enough, don't panic. All you want to do is dig your hole, stick the hose in there and let it fill right to the top up with water. Leave it to drain down, and that way then you fully soak the compost. Wish I'd done the explanation after I finished digging the hole. Come on. Ugh. One wisteria in, one more to go. Come on. That's both the wisterias watered in. Now we need to underplant it. And luckily, we've got enough flowers. Right, oh, that's actually quite nice too. We'll grab that. Right, I've got myself a fair share of plants here. In fact, I've got quite a lot. I've got some of the scabias, I've got the leucanthemums, which have got the yellow flower. Then what I've got here is some of this carex grass, which is fairly slow growing, and I've gone for a big salvia and the rampant, that's not the right word, what's it called? The ragged robin as well. Now, again, it feels a little bit dead, a little bit tired. Don't worry, a dead head, it'll be absolutely fine. And some of these big salvias, again, don't look like much, will soon fill the space. Now, when I did this as a border, this was the shady garden because the foliage was really dense and thick and it leant towards the sun, so it's a shady spot. But in this garden, it is a really, really south-facing spot. So having bright colored flowers underneath this is gonna be absolutely fine. And the roots don't go as deep as the wisteria will go. So even with a little regular feed now and then, I don't have to worry about them sharing nutrients. They should all thrive. Now, if you've watched the show enough, you know I always have a rule when it comes to mass planting, and that's put them in the pots in position first. Get an idea for how it looks, how the height works, and don't worry, the pot isn't gonna affect the height either, because once you take everything out of the pot, they'll all be the same height in comparison anyway. Make sure you put them in a position that will work really well. They'll get loads of sunlight. And remember, we are having a bit of a heat wave on the way. So it doesn't matter if you pack them in quite densely because you're actually blocking the sun's rays from the soil, which means you'll actually keep them hydrated. I know, I'm a genius. That there, and the center. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with how this is gonna look. Now, I don't know about you, but I think this looks pretty good. In fact, once it starts to spread out a little bit, it'll look fantastic. And remember, that's the difference between this and a show border. Show border, you put them quite close together because you want that instant impact. Whereas I don't want this to be sharing nutrients. I want it to thrive on its own. So plant it out with more space. As a result, it should thrive better. Tell you what, I'm not really entirely sure why I decided to do this in cream shoes. Right, it's officially the first day of the heat wave, which means, as you can imagine, it's really warm. Despite it being about 8 o'clock in the morning, it's actually about 30 degrees already, so I'm incredibly warm. I've got a nice loose shirt on and some shorts, so hopefully I should be okay. Now, I don't recommend planting any plants during a heat wave, so what I've decided to do is go for the plants that don't necessarily care about the sunshine. In fact, they only want some shade. Now, whilst this part of the garden gets plenty of sun, there's this one corner here that gets absolutely none of it. It is my shady spot. I've got a few bits here that are doing okay, but I reckon we could utilize some of those shade-loving plants to, well, make it look better. Right, here we go. Now, I've got a wheelbarrow full of water here that's rehydrating my shade-loving plants, and I've got a great selection too. I've got a choice of ferns, and there's quite a lot of them, some big hostas, and I think there's some heucheras in there as well. What I'm gonna do is just let them soak there for another half an hour or so, that I can place them in here, plant it all up, and I've got myself a shady border. Oh, look at this. What was slightly drying in stress is now fully hydrated. It's time to plant them. You know the score by now. Make sure you plan out where the pots are going to go before you plant them. And this is exactly why. As you can see, I realised that that hosta would look better in the back because of the height, so I've swapped them round. I haven't even planted it up yet, and it already looks like a shady jungle. How cool's that? Right, where's my trowel? When I started filming less than an hour ago, it was about 30 degrees. I've just checked the thermostat and it's now gone to nearly 33. It's going on to 34. It's so warm. So remember, don't plant anything else unless it's in the shade, and for goodness sake, really water it. Otherwise, it's not going to last. Now, you may notice that this hosta, which has been here before we started this, looks completely uneaten. It hasn't been attacked by slugs at all. And there's a little bit of a secret behind this, because there's two things that slugs don't like: rough surfaces and dry. Anything dry it goes on, soaks in their slime. They hate it. Anything scratchy and sharp, again, they don't like. But for a shady border, that seems impossible to achieve. But actually it's not. The way I do it is I bury my plants in as you would do normally. I then add a thick layer of mulch or multi-purpose compost that soaks in a lot of water, and then I cover it up with either a really thick amount of bark or some leaf mold. And because it's sharp, it's dry, it doesn't look like it's doing anything, but it's preserving the moisture in the soil. And because it's dry and a little bit scratchy, the slugs hate it. So I can put as many hostas in as I like, and they won't get eaten. How cool is that? Now, the other part I've managed to sneak in some more of my shade-loving plants is actually by the pond. There's a wall here from the barn which is north-facing, which means not much light gets to this. So I'm just going to chuck some of these in, create a nice little oasis. And I still, at some point, need to finish the waterfall I started. But luckily for me, there is a pump and a solar water feature that's now available that might fit the job. Maybe for another day, though. One thing I also noticed while I was doing that is that my pond water level has dropped dramatically, especially with the heat that's going on. And this pond serves two purposes. First of all, it's a nice little water feature we have here in the garden. But second of all, this basin actually connects to one of my solar water irrigation systems and waters all the plants on this deck. So if this gets too low, that's not getting watered either. I will not get beaten by the heat. It's probably worth mentioning that not every plant is going to make it. Unfortunately, my hydrangeas here got a little too much transplant shock, and despite keeping well hydrated, just don't seem to have made it. But I'm not going to despair. I'm not going to throw them away. What I'm actually going to do is pot these up, put them on a little lifeline with one of the drip waterers, and keep it going for a couple months or so, and see if there's any signs of recovery, because plants like this do this quite a lot. They die off and people throw them away. My eucalyptus is a really good example of this, and that's now doing fantastic. But leave it be. See if it'll come back, because chances are it probably will. Plus, these were really expensive. Right, I've cleared out almost everything except what I've got left here. So I've still got my achilles, I've got some of my cord lines over here, and I've got my favorite thing, which is the agapanthus. I reckon these can go in some of the main borders just to tidy it up. However, what I still have left are what can only be described as these laryngiums, which hurt every time I touch them. I've still got a few more ferns and some strawberry plants too. So I'm going to have to come up with a cunning plan to get rid of them without doing anything nasty. Actually, I've got an idea. Can I have a large toffee latte, please? Thank you very much. Let's carry on, shall we? I'm not even sure who that last person was. I just enjoy.
clarify, we're 13,000 in a hole and you decide to give away half the plants, like some kind of summertime Santa.
Well, yes, but I thought it was a nice little gesture. Thought it'd be a bit of fun.
Wouldn't it have made more sense just to have kept them and used them on your next show garden in a month and a half's time?
Shut up.